This is from Raging Lefty, who writes, Dear Mike, when I first heard someone say that 9/11 was an inside job, I thought it was preposterous. But I changed my mind when I discovered that Remember the Maine was a lie, Gulf of Tonkin was a lie, Gulf War was a lie. Why did Japan attack Hawaii? The U.S. was embargoing Japan's oil supply. Voila! A provoked attack was conveniently provided to justify the entrance into World War II. Everyone in the 9/11 truth movement has a tipping point that throws them against the wall, and they have an epiphany. They realize the U.S. government was involved in 9/11. Perhaps your listeners may want to share their tipping point. If we, the people, cannot face that fact, the fact that we live in an illusion, then the atrocities will continue and billions will die. Well, that certainly may be the case, right? Let's go to your phone calls. You want to do that? Sure, let's do that. Who's first? John is calling from Philadelphia. John, your last name is up here. Did you want your last name?
Yeah, that's fine, Mike. How you doing?
I'm fine. John Gold? Is that your name?
John Gold. The reason I was calling, you had mentioned several things, obviously. Two things I want to point out. The Christy Todd Whitman debacle.
Right.
My good friend John Feel, who's the founder of the Feel Good Foundation, says it ever so eloquently when he says that she belongs in prison for manslaughter.
Yeah, I can go along with that, sure.
The other thing is, I don't know if your listeners are aware, with regard to the 9/11 issue in September of 2006, representatives of the family members got together at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., and called for a new investigation into the attacks. And the media did not cover them. This past February, after the news about Philip Zelikow came out that he possibly took direction from Karl Rove, the Jersey Girls, the women who fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission, called for a new investigation into the attacks. And the media's not covering. How do you think America would react if they heard this news?
Well, I'm not sure. It's been suggested to me by several different people, disparate, certainly even people not from this country, that one of the reasons there is such vehement resistance to even entertaining, even momentarily, the idea that the official story is an absolute lie is because it would call into question every single thing, whether we're left or right, Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, doesn't make any difference. It would call into question the very foundations of what we've come to believe in this society, and we simply could not handle that massive cognitive dissonance. I've never, I've been kind of an observer for the past 7 years. I've stayed out of this debate for the most part. I've stayed, and I'm going to put you on hold for a second and come back because I'm talking right through your time, John. But let me put you on hold. I've tried to stay out of this because I didn't know where to go with it. And I know that everybody on this issue is utterly convinced that their point of view is the only point of view, and any opposing point of view is only put out there by crazy people. Just crazy people or fools. So, but I've opened the door now, and it's going to stay open. We'll be right back.
Should I stay and pretend that I'm happy? Like so many times before, yeah, these
The Mike Malloy Show. Talk radio matters here.
It's about 25 before the hour. We're talking with John Gold, who's called in from Philly. John, I'm very embarrassed. I didn't realize you were the John Gold of 911blogger.com. My apologies.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay.
Go ahead.
one point I wanted to make is you were saying that people wouldn't be able to handle the truth, essentially. I think Americans and people of the world are capable of handling it. You were looking for a way to phrase making 9/11 the core issue. And 9/11 is the day that created the post-9/11 world.
Right.
The post-9/11 world is a world where civil liberties can disappear, our Constitution could be trashed, the country could be bankrupted, we can go fight in preemptive wars around the world. I mean, if 9/11 was not what we were led to believe, and it sure as hell doesn't seem that way, then we should know about it, and we should know about it now. I have a series of films. There are 10 films on YouTube.com called 9/11 Truth, What's Being Covered Up. And it's 10 different family members, asking their questions, and I hope people go take a look at it.
All right, so it's YouTube. Go to YouTube, and then and how is it titled?
It's 9/11 Truth, What's Being Covered Up, or you can just go to user Gold9472. Okay. And I wanted to say thank you, Michael, for covering this issue in the coming week.
Yeah, I'll be in touch, John, via email. I'm sure there's some information you can provide, or some people that we might have on as a guest, or you yourself.
Well, there are several experts. I highly recommend Bob McElvain, family members, Lori Van Alken. These people were involved in the process from the beginning. But at a time when their government refused to do any investigation, they had to go down into Washington, D.C. at a time when their kids were traumatized and fight for an investigation. That should speak volumes to people, the fact that this administration did not want to investigate the attack. Everybody should ask themselves, why on earth would this president, the person you would think would want to know exactly how and why this happened so as to make sure it never happens again, did not want to investigate?
That's probably it's not the linchpin, but it is one of the most intriguing and mind-blowing aspects of everything that we've come to know in a package as 9/11 is the fact that the president and the vice president did everything they could to stop an investigation, and then when it could not be stopped, agreed to show up and testify only together and only not under oath. But going back to the what you just said, that to think that the president of the United States would do everything he could to prevent an investigation, I mean, this is just to me that's I'm sorry, that's a smoking gun. There's a clear indication of complicity.
Well, but then they stacked the deck of the 9/11 Commission. They put Philip Zelikow. Right. The entire investigation was a sham. They were mandated to give a full and complete accounting of the 9/11 attack.
Right.
And everything that wasn't mentioned shows that they failed miserably. Sibel Edmonds, the Pakistani ISI, the war games that were taking place that day.
Right.
These things were not investigated. Whistleblowers. There were numerous whistleblowers who came forward that the 9/11 Commission told the family members they would hear. They didn't. And, Patty Casaza, one of the Jersey girls this past November, indicated that the information these whistleblowers had showed that this government knew the day, the target, and the type of attack. Don't you think these people should have been interviewed by the 9/11 Commission?
Yes.
And they weren't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said earlier tonight, John. We're going to do this, and I'm certainly one of the least informed media people out here. I think of all the who believes that it was either a false flag operation or there was complicitness in. Well,
I've been doing this for almost 6 years now, and I honestly don't know what happened on 9/11. I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem. Right.
Well, I don't either, and I'm starting with only one preconceived notion, and that is we don't know the truth.
Well, I think they've earned the title of suspect for the crimes of 9/11.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
I'll go along with that. All right. I guess I can get in touch with you through your website?
Yeah, that's fine. Just go to 9/11 Blogger.
Okay. And we'll be in touch. And thanks for checking in, John. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for what you're doing, Mike.
All right. Take care. Take care. I can remember what John was just talking about, how when it came out in mainstream media that there was to be no investigation, and the group of widows known sort of affectionately as the Jersey Girls, insisting and pushing and pushing and pushing and providing testimony. I believe, did they appear before congressional committees prior to the formation of this phony-ass 9/11 investigation commission, whatever it was called, the one that they first wanted Henry Kissinger to chair? Jesus Christ. And I remember thinking at the time, how could the President of the United States, subsequent to the most vicious attack on U.S. soil in modern American history, not want an investigation? I mean, what does that mean? What is implied by that? Now, immediately to me, I go for the low-hanging fruit, as they say. Immediately to me, what that means is he was involved and just didn't want his complicity in this event to come out. Now, whether that's true or not is immaterial, because that's just, like I say, that was my first reaction. Well, hell no, he didn't want the truth to come out because he's involved in it. What else are you going to think when you're like I am, very emotionally, a hair trigger emotionally about this? Because like every American, I remember getting my particular phone call that morning here in Atlanta from my daughter in Tampa, who wanted to, she said, "Daddy, you're watching CNN." So there's just so much. And I understand that a lot of people are going to email me. I've gotten, maybe 10 emails this evening, maybe 150 emails in support of this idea, maybe 10 saying, "Come on, don't do, this is this is crazy stuff." And my only response to that is, again, the only preconceived notion I'm starting with here is that I've been lied to by the government, and I wonder if everyone who is saying to me via email, "Don't do this, don't do this," do you all completely accept the story? And here's the thing. You've got to accept the whole thing. I mean, you can't pick and choose here. You've got to accept or not accept the official U.S. government 9/11 story. You can't parse it. You can't say, well, this part of it's true, but that isn't. Because it's of a whole piece. The whole thing, 19 people came to the United States, boarded aircraft, defeated every single security system this country had in place on September 11, 2000, and maybe we didn't have a single security system in place. But whatever was in place, they defeated it. They hijacked 1, 2, 3, 4 jetliners. Nobody tried to stop them. Nobody. And they wreaked the hell that they wreaked. Now, if you want to believe that, if you want to accept that at face value, who am I to tell you that perhaps you're mistaken? But I'm not going to go there. I haven't gone there, and I think maybe the first day I sat there and was dumbfounded. Yeah, 19 hijackers just invaded the United States, 15 of them from Saudi Arabia, and just beat my country, just knocked it on its ass. Maybe for the first 24 hours, maybe 48, maybe the first week. Hell, maybe the first 6 months. I don't know. Until I started reading, what was that book by the French writers, Kathy? The French intelligence guy and the French journalist. Well, remember that? That was the first time, and I think we were still working for IE America at the time. And somebody sent me a copy of the book. and I've read maybe half of it. And all of a sudden, that was a book that laid out what was told to the Taliban in Houston, Texas, prior to our invading Afghanistan. And they were told, we'll either pave your streets with gold, or we'll bomb you into the Stone Age, or something. Something to that effect. Damn it! I wish I could think of the title of the book. Forbidden Truth. Forbidden Truth. That was the name of it. And I read that and I thought, wait a second. Wait a minute. What the hell? So I guess that was when I hit the wall. The secret oil diplomacy that was going on at the time, and yada yada yada. But as one of my emailers said, most people, I don't think rational people just start out immediately saying on September 12th, "Holy Jesus Christ, look what the Bush crime family just did." No, I don't think, unless that particular person, I guess there's some people who could do that who are extremely paranoid and expecting all sorts of booger men to jump out from behind the bushes and the curtains. But at some point, I think rational, reasonable intelligence people stop and say, wait a second, wait, just a minute. What is it I'm supposed to believe now? This is what I'm saying. No, thank you. Not going to do it.
Forget the ones who died on that Tuesday morning, and we're going to stand up and see it through and defend her still today, 'cause we'll never fall when we all stand. God bless.